Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Jamie Lee, and I'm joined by my husband, Mr. Jared Lee. Hello, Jared.
Hello, Jamie.
Well, it's another Universal episode, and we've got more Epic Universe stuff to talk about. How excited are you?
How excited am
How
I?
excited are you?
I'm very excited. I've maintained my excitement as all this has gone along. It's getting coming down to the wire. I'm very curious. There's just a lot of details in terms of like how is opening day going to be, and like hopefully, annual pass holder previews we can go, because I feel like if we're able to go before it opens with that, there won't be as much pressure on the opening time period to try and do as much because we've been in it and things like that. But I'm very excited. Obviously, Super Nintendo World I've been excited for. I'm very interested in Monsters, which I didn't think I would have been, say, like a year ago.
Hey, that's cool. We can do something new you're interested in, and
well, I think like I didn't when they first announced it. Like I don't actually care about Monsters much. Like those movies are old and things, but the things they've showed about that land and everything looks cool. And I think the kids will like Isle of Berk. The Harry Potter stuff's interesting. So yeah, I'm very excited. Are you excited?
I am. I'm excited to do something new in Orlando. You know what I mean? Like, and while we do new stuff, all the time at Disney and even existing Universal, having a brand new theme park is just such a big undertaking, and like, it's just going to take a while to do almost everything you can do in the park. And so it's exciting in that it's just something new to experience, really. At least for me, and like the fact that it's stuff that I really am interested in, like the Dark Universe stuff and How to Train Your Dragon, Harry Potter, Super Mario World. Not as much. I mean, that's more you and our daughter and our son, but I still enjoy it.
You can get out of here with that take.
Get out of here. Well, I didn't know that opinions weren't honored in this household.
They are.
I'm
just
were
saying,
Jared's.
You'll be outnumbered by myself and the children.
That's fine. I'll go hang out with Monsters.
That's fine.
And you guys just hang out with Mario. But yeah, so it's exciting. But we actually are going to talk about Epic Universe, exclusively in this episode, because again, we are getting down to the wire where it's supposed to open May 22nd, and lots of things are happening up until that point. So we just decided we're going to do another Epic Universe focused episode.
Well, it's all the Epic Universe news because there's new stuff coming out just about every day.
My gosh, it is.
So
true.
Even in this episode here in the past week, I'm having a hard time keeping up on all of it.
Yeah.
So it's like every time I look over, there's something new. So yeah, we're just going to talk about that.
It's exciting. But yeah, well, we're going to talk about the Epic Universe news, but first we have some housekeeping to go through. I'm going to hang that over to Jared.
Yes, if you're watching us on YouTube, or if you would like to watch us over on YouTube, you can do that over at CTM Podcast, and you can actually become a member over there as well. So if you want to, you like what we're doing, we're going to do some member exclusive things on the channel there as we hit that threshold to do that, as the channel's growing there. So be sure to look over there, subscribe, and like this video if you are watching it. And if you're listening on the good old audio podcast format, you can find us on all of the platforms. Those are available. I think all the major ones we are on. You can find Capture the Magic Universal Edition. And if you want to subscribe just to the Universal Show, check that out. Leave us a review and subscribe over there. We'd greatly appreciate it if you would do that. And of course, if you want some great theme park apparel, and we got some Universal stuff in there, we're going to be adding some Epic Universe stuff as well. You can go to ctmapparelco.com, and we print everything in-house. We don't use third-party suppliers or cheap prints and things like that. I like to control things as much as possible. So we print everything in-house. We ship it from us to you, so it's the highest quality you can get. And the shirts will last a very long time. I still see people wearing shirts from like 4 or 5 years ago. So I like the fact that it lasts. So if you're looking for some quality apparel and some cool threads, as the kids say. Do they say that?
Nope.
Well, they might. Don't be so mean to me. Okay. You again go to ctmapparelco.com and use the promo code MARCH, and you'll save 15% off of your order. Plus, if you order $50 or more, you get free shipping on top of that. So again, promo code MARCH. Head over to ctmapparelco.com and get yourself some cool theme park and pop culture shirts over there. So.
Alrighty, let's get to the news. So first thing we're going to talk about is that single day tickets are now available for purchase to Epic Universe.
Yeah, this is the thing a lot of people were waiting on. So previously you had multi-day tickets that were available for purchase with one day at Epic Universe in a package. But now, as of last week, you can purchase single day tickets as you would want. So you can add on
many.
to things.
Yep.
The only dates you can't, it starts June 1st. So the opening time period in May, you're not going to be able to purchase single day tickets to the general public. But outside of that, you are able to purchase them. Prices start at $134 per child and $139 per adult, depending on which day you choose. The most expensive is going to be around Christmas. Those are up to $199. And the cheapest is around September at that time period. There's a few days in there where it's at. So they're pricing it along with Magic Kingdom, which tells you exactly what they're going for, I do believe. But it seems like everything I checked last, everything looks to be available. So when it first opened, the website was very glitchy. It shut down a few times. I think they were bombarded by people buying single-day tickets. But as of now, it looks like all the dates from June 1st till the end of the year are still available as of right now. The only thing that's available for 2026 is that international ticket package.
Well, that is true. That is true.
That one you can. So if you are like UK, because currently if you're a international guest, a lot of times they'll do 14-day packages. Even those packages only include 1 day at Epic Universe. But with this one starting in 2026, it's unlimited days at Epic Universe. I think it comes down to like $600 USD, like
it's crazy,
something along those lines. So it's a really good deal if you're looking to do that. So I think a lot of international guests are waiting till 2026 because if you're going for 14 days, I think most people are going to want more than 1 day at Epic Universe. So
yeah, I think so. But yeah, like you said, opening week of Epic Universe not available for these single day tickets, which I think is like a good idea on their part. I think it's a good idea to not bombard single day ticket sales on that first week of opening because you just never know how it's going to go. You don't want to just overpopulate the park right immediately, at least in my opinion.
No, I agree. I think that's what they're doing. So there is still tickets in the opening time period available if you want to do packages.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some dates that's still available for the annual pass holders. So those have been reserved, I think, for APs. So I think what they're doing is it makes sense to, like, you're going to prioritize the people that are going to stay on property longer because a lot of people that are doing single day tickets are probably going to be locals and people that are just going to come for Epic Universe only. And I think also from everything I'm hearing, they may limit the park in terms of its capacity. So if you look at a similar sized park, Hollywood Studios, similar amount of attractions, max capacity there is about 60,000 guests. I'm hearing, now I don't know if this is true, Universal probably won't say because I don't think they officially say what their park capacities are, but they're looking for perhaps like a 20 to 30,000 people park capacity. So if that is the case, I think they will perhaps limit just the sheer amount of people in there, which makes a lot of sense because you're going to have issues on a brand new theme park and you don't want 60,000 people in a theme park and things go down. People are waiting for 8 hours. A Hagrid's 2.0 happens where it was like 9-hour wait times for some people. So it's probably a pretty good move just to limit in that time period, work out the kinks, have good reviews come out, social media, because you're going to have a lot of people regardless that are waiting for anything to be wrong with Epic Universe and jump all over it.
Yep.
So I think that makes a lot of sense if that's what they're doing.
Yeah. So there you go. Single day tickets on sale now. Moving on to the next story. Universal has released a first look at the merchandise coming to each land at Epic Universe.
They have indeed. And I think Epic Universe they're going to do really well with merch sales. So they've got,
I think so too.
Super Nintendo. They got a lot of plushies, especially in the Isle of Berk, Super Nintendo World. You got the Ministry of Magic, the Dark Universe. There's a lot of stuff in the pictures that there's more things than just what's in the pictures.
Right.
I do think they have a zip-up hoodie that looks like a comic strip in the Dark Universe.
Ooh.
That looks pretty cool.
I do like all of the popcorn buckets and the sippers from Super Nintendo World. Super Mario World?
Yes.
Is it Super Nintendo World or Mario?
It is Super Nintendo World.
I keep saying both. I'll say Mario World.
People will know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so they have some, I think it's a star and a Mario Kart popcorn bucket. And then they have the sippers for the Toad sippers, right?
Yes. I think the Mario Kart popcorn bucket is going to go pretty quick.
I think you're right. But yeah, some really cool stuff. And, we've been seeing some, people that have gone and done the team member previews, which we're going to talk about in a second. I've gotten some of this merchandise already, and it looks fantastic. So,
I think, merchandise sales are going to do very well. They even have a fanny pack in the Ministry of Magic, which I'm a fanny pack person, as I've talked about many, many times. Pack. They have robes and wool beanies you can get for that Florida weather that you would like to do that as well. But the Power Up bands, they showed those as well for the Super Nintendo World, which I think I'm leaning toward, I don't know, I'm torn between Mario and Donkey Kong, but they've got Mario, Luigi, Princess, Toadstool, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, and Daisy that you can choose from. So, and these are things, so when you're in Super Nintendo world, you have a power-up band. It unlocks interactive features in both the Mushroom Kingdom and in Donkey Kong Country. So you can do that. But yeah, lots of merchandise. I think the Mario Kart popcorn buckets can look great on the display behind us.
Yes, it will. And some of these items, you know, we saw them, some of them at Stella Nova.
Yes.
A few of them, not all of them, obviously. And even the Epic Preview Center have items there as well. None of these that are on this particular like information they released, that is the first look. But, you know, Jared's got an Epic Universe shirt already, and you know,
I have had one for a while.
We're going to collect all the merch.
I think the ones, I mean, obviously I'm biased towards Super Nintendo World, but I think Dark Universe has the coolest looking merch potentially.
You think so?
Well, you can go a little like more edgy with that stuff and things. So some of the t-shirts and things like that. So
I'm excited.
I think it looks good. Yeah. Like I said, I think they're going to make a ton of money on merch alone, which is what they actually said they wanted to do, is not charge, maybe a premium right off the bat, which I guess you could argue they are, considering toward the end of the year it's $199, but that they were looking to make a lot more money on merchandise sales and food sales and stuff like that. So.
Might as well. All right, moving to the next story. Team member previews are continuing through the end of March.
Yeah, so these are team member and family previews that are extended to the end of March. So originally it was only through March 14th. They extended that to the end of the month. A media event will be held somewhere in those days, the rumor has it. Not really sure on the details there. And then annual pass holder previews, that's the thing most people are wondering about. Going to assume those are going to be in April.
That's the rumor.
I think we would probably hear an announcement this month about registration, and then they will start early April because you're really running out of time to hold those. And I think, didn't you say you had heard something that they're probably going to be paid?
Yeah. Somebody on the inside basically said that these will not be free. So if we are a current annual pass holder for Universal Orlando already, I think is the only people that have access to be able to buy these.
Right.
And back in Islands of Adventure, when it opened in '99, I believe my mom said they paid like $20 or $25 to be able to go during the soft open. So maybe something like that.
I doubt 25. If I were to guess, I'd say 50 plus. Maybe like
think so.
It depends on how much is going to be open.
Yeah.
Because not all the lands are open. You're not going to still the Battle of the Ministry, from what I'm being told, is having its issues. They're looking to hopefully have that at least in terms of capacity, partial capacity for opening day. They're trying to work out the kinks there. So if that ride's not available, perhaps Celestial Park, parts of it aren't. I think it's going to be hard to charge $100 whenever you can only go into maybe one or two lands. I think people will still pay it, but a lot of it would probably be dependent upon that. But yeah, so probably going to have to pay for those, which probably will cut down the amount of people that would just get a reservation and then not use it. Is probably a thinking behind that. But I would obviously prefer them to be complimentary, but
sure.
Yeah, but
Who wouldn't?
We'll see what they do.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some more information we've been learning about each land. And these have come from different places like the Discover Universal podcast, from articles. We're just going to pull from different sources and just talk about what we've learned the last couple weeks since we had the last episode. And some of the stuff is really exciting. So we'll start with Isle of Berk, How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk. And Hiccup and Toothless meet and greet experience looks really cool. We actually saw some examples of it, of people like team members being able to do this already. And this looks like a great experience. Yeah,
so Toothless is animatronic on some level. The head moves. It doesn't walk around, I don't believe, but the head will
stationary.
Head will move, like react. They have a team member controlling it off to the side, so it is an interactive one in that way, which I think it looks great.
Yeah.
But I like this idea of more of these interactive, like using animatronics and things for some of these characters. Because I think Universal's not known for meet and greets. But I definitely think that they're going to do a lot with Epic Universe with them. So, maybe this will force, you could see Disney also reacting to this and doing more things with theirs, potentially, depending on different ones. But yeah, that one looks really good. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I've got images up you can take a look at. All in all, I think this one will be a very popular meet and greet.
For sure. We're also going to see appearances from Toothless's babies, the nightlights. Footage of this testing was seen from like the news helicopters and like BioReconstruct showed a little bit of them testing this. And I think it was Dart, one of the babies, Dart.
One of them was, yeah.
Yeah. So they have not officially announced this yet, but it has to be coming.
Yeah, it's WESH Newscopter has caught a lot of footage of them testing various things. A lot of the stuff we know about Epic Universe is not from them saying it. It's actually from people just seeing it, like the dragons flying testing, the fireworks and things. So a lot of it is just the attention of where it's at. You can get views if you've got a really good camera. You can zoom in and see a lot of this stuff.
Yep. Stormfly, which is Astrid's dragon, and Grump, which is Gobber's dragon, will be inside Gobber's forge. So we're going to get even more dragon meet and greets. We've got flying dragon drones that are in testing, and we have seen the Hook Fang footage so far, and that's from a distance that I've seen that. Have you seen that from the distance, right?
Yeah, they did get a close up of what it looks like. It was on the ground.
Yeah.
So I can't tell from the scale. These things are pretty big.
Yeah, they're huge.
But they did come out and say that, I mean, these are not just for the opening time period. They're planning on this being a continual thing, as having these dragons and these interactive elements.
I really hope the ability for it to be long lasting is there, because I would hate for it just to be around for like a month or two and then they just abandon it. I
don't think that. I mean, drones have come a long ways. There's going to be some days where you can't use it due to wind, weather, things like that. But I think overall, I'm sure they have multiples of these. But I think they will be able to run this continually. Which again, they have said like the Isle of Berk is supposed to be like you're just walking into the village. Like it's not necessarily a show being put on for you. You're walking into an existing village, so you're just supposed to be witnessing these things going on around you. Which I do think it'll be interesting how that plays out in terms of like how does it feel, like when you're in there, like what do the dragons do, like do they, it's a lot of stuff in there that I think has a lot of potential to like, especially when you're talking about theme park experiences, like the immersion, bringing that up to a level that we've seen Disney do it for media previews where they've had dragons and they've had X-wings and Galaxy's Edge, but nothing on a continual basis that really lends to more like the atmosphere in a land. So I think, although it could be a small thing, I think they will, have this running continually. They've came out and openly said they want to. So, drones they're cheaper than they used to be.
That's true.
Yeah.
We'll see other flying dragons as well. We'll see dragons walking around and dragons peeking out through houses and such.
That, and they have
lots of dragons.
And there's animatronic like tails that will move like when they're in these houses and things. So there's gonna be a lot of kinetic energy in here. Of just looking like dragons are hanging out everywhere, which is what you're supposed to basically feel.
The Untrainable Dragon Show is going to be 20 minutes long, and it's going to be very similar to the Beijing version, which I think we kind of already figured that it would be, but they basically confirmed that it will be similar. Not completely, but similar.
And that show, everything I've seen and heard about, is a great show. So I think, the stage shows, I've heard good things so far about the stage shows that are in there. So I think that'll, And there's a lot of things to do in Isle of Berk. It's got the most stuff. It's got 3 rides in the show here, and they got a kids' play area. So there's a lot of things to do for families in here for sure.
And there's a Viking band that's going to be wandering the land playing the soundtrack from the movies.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, and this is something they've even said, I know in Isle of Berk, they are going to be playing the soundtrack like in the land.
Right. And from a band now too.
Well, they're going to have that. But this is one of the major things I've said that baffles me about, say, like Galaxy's Edge is like they don't use the Star Wars music. That would just add another level of depth to that land. Like the idea of just, we're going to use a soundtrack that people know and like from the movies.
Yeah.
It's a simple thing, but I think it's a very... I think that's something people want. Like they do the same thing with like the Wizarding Worlds. I'm sure they're going to do the same thing with Super Nintendo World. Like just taking music from the properties and just playing it in there is a good move. I don't know why other places don't do this, but I like to hear that.
Yeah. And last thing I'll mention that I just happened to see was that one of the senior producers of the park, I can't remember her name, she said that Isle of Berk is by far the biggest of the lands in the park, almost twice as big as most of them because of the water, because there's 2 water features.
Yeah, it is the biggest in terms of acreage. I don't know if this still is true. At one point, I don't know if Isle of Berk has an expansion pad. I'm trying to remember.
I think they do. I think they have potential to build at least another new experience in each land.
Yeah, I thought at one point they had changed it and made Isle of Berk bigger and not having a potential expansion pad, but they may still. I can't remember. No, they do have an expansion pad. Never mind. So yeah, this one could be bigger, but it is the biggest one starting out the gate.
Very exciting stuff. Very, very. So that was Isle of Berk. So we're going to move on to more information we learned about the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic.
Yeah, so they have the talking portraits are getting an upgrade. And I think people know about these, but they will be able to interact with guests for a personalized experience.
Before, I think they were just like recorded voice
they just
responses
on a loop.
But this one's going to be like they can actually talk to you.
Well, they did this in Diagon Alley with the bank.
So you're talking about the goblins.
Goblins, yeah.
Okay, so those are recorded responses.
Well, didn't they used to interact and like they would respond to you if you asked them questions?
So there's a lady or a man. There was a lady the last one I went to it. She's standing right there, and she's the one that pushes the button to respond to you.
Right.
So they're automated responses based on like what you ask, and there's
right.
a bunch to choose from. These portraits will be customized. Like if you like, there's going to be like almost like a Turtle Talk with Crush kind of thing.
Right. That makes sense.
So way better experience.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. There will also be new characters and musicians on the streets of Paris, which we've seen photos of them practicing this. So there is going to be some sort of just entertainment is in the streets there.
Yeah.
Cosme Acajor is an actual character in the wand store of the same name and will interact with guests. Very similar to Ollivanders, how that works. So that is another character in the land there. And, Wizarding Worlds aren't really known for character interactions. They don't really, that was part of J.K. Rowling's thing of they wanted the characters to be in the rides and be the actual actors and not like face, characters looking like them.
Right.
So that's not a lot of time you get to see that in the Wizarding World. And then Le Cirque Arcanu, I think is how you say that, will have acrobat, puppetry, and magic as part of the show. Magique, even. And
it's also kind of cool. So, you know how in the movies, whenever they enter, I think it's the sixth book maybe, where they enter the tent and it looks like it's small outside, but it's huge inside.
Kind of like Doctor Who, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like the same kind of thing. So it's like, it looks like the tent's getting smaller from the outside, but as you enter to get into the show, it's huge. Like it gets bigger. Mm-hmm. So it has the opposite effect, which is kind of cool.
It's supposed to be like it's a magical tent.
It is magical.
Yeah. We also know, we talked about this one before, Higgledy, which is Dolores Umbridge's house elf, appears in the Battle of the Ministry, will be animatronic. That one they've talked about before. And then they came out with more of a description for the flue system. So when you go into the Battle of the Ministry, you actually will go into one of these fireplaces, like in the movies, to get into the line. But they said, quote, "There are fireplaces in a line, and you are sent through the flue and experience a burst." Says we'll just call it green smoke for now. Then you step through a bit of a tunnel, have that experience again, and you are transported to the Ministry.
Green smoke.
I'm very curious how they pull off this effect.
Yeah.
Smoke, and then it's because again, it's supposed to. If you've ever seen the movies, how they transport in that flue system, how that is. It's gonna have to move pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's not going to take a long time because you're going to have a lot of people going in there. But I do like that even detail. Instead of just getting in a line, you are actually being transported because the land is in the 1920s and Battle of the Ministry takes place in the 90s.
Right.
So there is the use. There's a time turner on the portal itself. So there's some time travel in here, which
it's awesome.
Jamie either likes or hates.
Like it if it's done well.
You are a time traveler stickler.
I am.
But yeah.
I am.
So that's the whole idea. I wonder if that's going to be confusing for people. Because again, you're in 1920s Paris, and then the ride it's a completely different time period.
It's confusing for me. So yes.
I mean, originally they were going to do all of it, Fantastic Beasts, but those movies didn't do well. The land was already in development, so I think they just stuck with the 1990s Harry Potter that people already know and love.
Yeah. So. I mean, I get why they did it for sure. All right, so moving on to more information about Dark Universe.
Yes, the Bride of Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster, and the Invisible Man will be meeting and interacting with guests. We've already seen some pictures of this come out from team members.
Yes.
The Invisible Man has been out during previews, and he appears in a coat and hat and sunglasses with skin completely covered in wraps. And that character actor needs a raise because in the Florida heat during the summer, that is going to be a rough job.
Well, that's what I thought. I was like, how are they going to do the Invisible Man? They could just be like, hey, he's right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's he is.
Right next to you.
And you don't even know.
That would be funny. They did a picture of just, he's supposed to be right there and just it's nobody there. Like, it was the Invisible Man. But
right.
Yeah, that guy, you're going to hear him silently crying next to him in pictures because he's going to be so hot. Hopefully he's in a shaded area.
Hopefully. Man.
Or maybe they wet the rags with water before they put him on him or something.
We'll see. 20 minutes max. He can be out there, right? Isn't that 20 minutes?
I think. Well, that's they may be all of them. I know Disney's is that 20 minutes and they switch. So
yeah. There's a traveling violinist that will roam the streets and tell the story of the village through her music. That's kind of cool. We got the Hounds, which are the group of monster hunters that will tell their stories of trying to catch these monsters.
Yes, that is
cool.
in the Burning Blade Tavern.
Yeah.
So you'd be able to go in there. We've also saw some clips of the actual windmill on fire, that effect, which looks really cool. Even during the daytime. There's a certain fuel mixture they have used where it is more visible during the day as well. And then, yeah, if you're in there, there's going to be those guys walking around talking about how they captured these monsters. And so you've got kind of a village where there's monsters that exist. There's people that are against the monsters. So it's like a story in that land. I think is cool. I mean, Burning Blade at night, I just want to see that windmill at night.
And really, you'll do it. You'll get
and really dark universe as a whole. I am very curious. I think it's going to be for sure busier at night, but that land almost is built for a nighttime experience. How's that land going to be during the day?
It's going to be so scary.
Because I feel like people will go in, ride Monsters Unchained, and then maybe leave and then come back to it.
Maybe.
Because I feel like most of the things, like even on Curse of the Werewolf Coaster, there are projections on that ride at night.
Yeah.
And then you got, Frankenstein's Manor looks completely different at night. So
yeah,
that'll be interesting to see how people navigate the park. I mean, all of it right now is theoretical. Like, we don't know, but.
And we also know that Igor, Dr. Victoria Frankenstein's assistant, is the one that's living in the Frankenstein Manor. And he has an important role in the ride and is both monster and human.
He's the best of both worlds. He's a daywalker. I have heard people say the pre-show for Monsters Unchained is almost just as good as the ride itself.
That's so cool. I'm so excited.
I've heard nothing but good things about Monsters Unchained.
They did say in the queue though, they do have scare actors, basically, like jump scares.
I had heard that. Well, they also had that in the King Kong ride initially.
Yeah.
I remember going through that queue.
Stopped doing that.
And they got me a couple of times and I was like, okay. But yeah.
They may not keep that
I don't
forever.
know if these are scare actors or if they might be just built into the queue.
I don't know.
I thought I remember reading something at one point that they weren't actual scare actors. They could be. I don't remember.
Well, we'll see what happens.
I've slept since then.
I've slept. So there's more information about Super Nintendo World. I'm going to get this right. And we have some more food and drinks that will probably be in Epic Universe, but these are things that were released in Japan and Donkey Kong Country.
I think some of this may be different because sometimes Japan food gets a little strange.
Yeah.
But they have more food and drinks here. They have DK Crush Sundae, a tropical banana flavored sundae topped with pineapple and coconut gelato in a cone. And atop the gelato are cocoa flavored cornflakes and popcorn. And this is in a barrel mug. I just want the barrel mug, if I'm being honest.
Just want the barrel.
It looks awesome. But I do like banana flavored stuff.
Yeah.
So
I know.
Hopefully they do that. And then there's the DK Wild Hot Dog. Medium-sized hot dog topped with cheese, paprika, garlic oil, and parsley. It's served with tortilla chips and avocado sauce on the bun.
Take off the avocado, and I'm good.
I'm just an old-fashioned. I just want a normal hot dog, or I would prefer a bratwurst. I don't like a lot of stuff on hot dogs personally.
Jared, I know that people know this about you that have listened. You're a very simple man.
Listen,
you don't like a lot of flash. You don't like a lot of fancy stuff. You are a very simple man.
A bratwurst is goated. I mean, bratwursts are the best. You don't need a lot of stuff on a bratwurst. And you put a lot of stuff on a hot dog, it just tends to get soggy. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm simple. But we'll see. I think that's going to be in the the stand next to Donkey Kong's treehouse where the meet and greet is going to be.
Yeah.
It is the Bubbly Barrel at this place, right next to Donkey Kong's treehouse.
Okay. Very cool. So there's that. And then also, this is not related to the park specifically, but a Mario Kart Lego is coming.
I need this.
Yeah, it's like $90.
Oh, it's $170.
Sorry, $170.
You were off by $100 almost.
Wow, sorry about that.
I wish it was only $70. Yeah. Although I would, that may be a Christmas gift.
Okay.
Because I think the popcorn bucket of Mario is going to be much cheaper. I'm going to guess $30-ish for that.
I'm going to go with 35 to 40.
I could see that.
Yep, I'm just going to go with that. But we do get AP discounts, so hopefully
True.
Hopefully it applies here.
Yeah, AP discount will help with that for sure.
Yeah. Okay, and then moving over to Celestial Park, we just have a few things here. Team members that designed the land, they designed it with World's Fair designs in a larger 1950s to 1930s aesthetic.
I think the idea for Celestial Park is very interesting. Again, this is a non-IP land. They've completely made the whole backstory to this, and it does have a lore. And they also have a soundtrack. How long do you say it was?
It's like 40 hours. Some of it is, or most of it's original music, but some is not. But it's like it's different depending on where you're standing in the land. So like when you first walk in, you're in the like Luna section, and it's sort of whimsical and violins and like nice. But then you go to the back of the land, like near Helios, and it's more like trumpets and trombones and blah blah blah. But like there's just like a very like story, like heavy story in this land that we just don't know what it is yet because it's a new concept.
Right.
But everything is purposeful, is what I understand.
Yeah, I know they're gonna have a ceremony that is like from day to night in the land involving the lights, and we've seen some of the aerial shots. The lighting package looks amazing at night.
Oh my gosh, it's so pretty.
And the fountain is also running for testing. Now they haven't announced anything about the fountain, like when's the show is going to happen? Is it going to be part of the fireworks show or anything like that? But we do know the fountain is now running. All the water areas are now full of water in Celestial Park as well, which again, this land at night I think will be really cool, especially around Constellation Carousel.
Yeah,
and those rides. But yeah, everything. I mean, Celestial Park has made a lot of progress in the past month and a half.
Yeah,
because that land was the one that was the furthest behind.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. In terms of construction, it was Super Nintendo World and Celestial Park were the ones that were behind the others, and then they made up a lot of progress in the last little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. And also the portals to each of the lands will be themed kind of to that land, and like the colors and the music they use and like the flowers and stuff around it will be themed to that land. So it's a nice transition.
Yeah, I think the portal idea is cool. We've never seen a theme park do this.
Yeah.
But also it allows them for what we'll talk about in a second, which is if let's say a land hits capacity, it gives you easy ways to just shut off access.
Yeah.
You've got one way in and one way out, so it's a lot more control you can do here. And also I think, another thing they'll probably do is at some point if lands get like rented out, it allows you to, or if there's a certain, maybe there's an after hours thing for just say Super Nintendo World or something. It does allow you to sort of control the lands a bit more, but also go through the portal. It's from a theming standpoint, you don't have to gradually theme something in like we've seen in other areas. It's like you can just go through this portal and then you're just boom in the world.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of like not a shortcut. It's probably a simpler way to just go through those transitions.
Yeah.
And kind of cut up. And also visuals. Like sight lines and things like that. You kind of like create the portal to where it blocks off certain views, which I'm sure they've probably done. So when you're in those lands, that'll be interesting to see if they've gone that course of like you can't see other things when you're in the land.
Yeah.
Like sight lines, like, different stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be cool. But okay, so we're going to kind of shift over into something that Jared just kind of alluded to with using but there are a couple terms that have been filed for trademark by Universal. And the first one is virtual line.
Yeah. So I did a video on this on the Captain Magic YouTube channel in terms of we saw when they first added Epic Universe to the Universal app, you saw on the lands, it had a VL for virtual line, but it was grayed out. And then they removed it from there, but it's still in there. If we know anything, like whenever Premiere Pass for Disney, they accidentally showed that on the Disneyland app when they removed it. It wasn't that they removed it. It was just the fact that it wasn't supposed to be publicly seen yet.
Yeah.
So I felt all along virtual lines, virtual queues, however you want to call them, are going to be at the very least utilized as a backstop.
Yeah.
So if a land hits capacity, then that land goes into a virtual queue. And then once enough people leave, your numbers call, however they handle that. You also, I think, could see this with rides. I don't think you're going to see this with every ride because I don't think it's going to be needed. I think if Battle to Ministry is having its ride capacity issues like we're hearing now and that keeps going, I think undoubtedly that will be a virtual queue just because that's already a high demand ride. And if it can't move enough people through it, instead of having 6-hour wait times or something, you just have a virtual queue for that one. You also,
I agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, you could also see it with like Monsters Unchained.
Yep.
Maybe Minecart Madness. A lot of the rides in Epic Universe, actually, one of the team members reached out. Like most of them are people eaters. They move a lot of people through them. Minecart Madness is not one of them.
Okay.
But it is a short ride. So I don't think they would file a trademark for virtual lines if they weren't planning on utilizing them further.
Right.
So they haven't said, and I'll be curious as to what they release before the park opens about it. I just personally don't think you're going to get into Epic Universe and say like opening day, and then you're going to have to get in virtual lines to get into each of the lands.
Okay.
I feel like Universal has made a lot of headway in being a simpler vacation destination.
Right, but they're also a brand new park, so it's
For
just
sure.
different territory.
For sure, but you could just have it where you're already going to have not an opening day, but every day after that, you're going to have early park access if you're staying on property. I would just imagine they would just, once a land, they're going to be able to count it, it hits capacity, then they just shut that land down and just as a needed basis. To me, I think that's likely what will happen. They could go right off the bat with all of them. I don't know. I'm just giving my guess here.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's the same. I mean, it's virtually the same as like virtual queue that Disney does, but they just have a different name.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
They also filed trademark for Jurassic World Cretaceous Coaster, which is supposed to be in the Universal Kids Resort.
Yes.
Which is opening in Texas. They haven't come out and say that that's the name of it, but why would they file a patent if it wasn't?
Yeah.
And they also filed for Universal Mega Movie Summer, which makes me think they're going to do this every summer. Do the mega movie summer and just do different movies?
It's possible.
Maybe?
I mean, yeah, if they do the same thing they did last summer, this summer, because you're going to have a lot more people coming in. I honestly think they may look at doing a Back to the Future ride. I really think they're
Dude, don't tease me, man.
Well, like if you think about it, like they're doing that fan fest out in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I was talking to some of the guys from OG Orange Grove 55, and they said they were already sending surveys asking like, what is the IP that made you want to come?
Yeah.
And I think they're really trying to see like where that's at. And I think if I've said before, if any company was going to do a retro ride, it would be Universal. And I think Back to the Future would be, I think it would be an insanely popular ride if they did some sort of Back to the Future ride.
Is there any way for them to create an attraction where they can just switch out the theming?
I mean, anything's possible.
You know what I mean? So if they wanted to do like a retro movie ride, just general retro movie ride, and then like for 3 months, it's Back to the Future. And then 3 months later, it's Jaws. And then 3 months later, it's Ghostbusters. Do you know what I mean?
You could. It would probably require you to shut it down for a period of time. Kind of like we do with the tribute stores.
Yeah.
They could. I don't know. I'm not saying they wouldn't. It's very possible they could. But I think
just thinking,
Yeah, doing the mega movie summer, they're obviously going to do more of this.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's different than it was last year, if you think about it, the park attendance has dipped a bit before Epic Universe opened, so not a lot of people saw that last summer versus may see it this summer, and then use that as a test to really be like, okay, what do you guys really like? Do you like Back to the Future? Do you like Jaws? Like, I think there are retro properties that they are looking at to perhaps bring an attraction into the parks.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to say you're wrong because I have no idea, but
I mean,
I'm gonna stop myself from getting too excited because that would be great if they brought Back to the Future back, but I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, I mean, I would love it. I think, Jaws is one too. There's a lot that they could choose from there. So I think it would be good. We'll see,
Very
but
good.
clearly you're going to use something. I actually added, and I found another story here, Jamie. Which I
Oh,
was
you
gonna hit
did?
on.
Okay.
Before Epic Universe opens, Universal Orlando has increased their food and beverage pricing.
Oh, no.
It looks like fountain soda has increased from $4.29 to $4.79.
Okay.
Hot chocolate and tea and coffee has gone from $3.69 to $4.29. Coca-Cola Freestyle mugs increased by $1.
Really?
Popcorn by
Okay.
50 cents. So it looks like across the board they've increased food prices, which I will say some of Universal, they stay in line with Disney for the most part. Some of the food items, though, get a little aggressive. I'm talking to you, the Shrek pretzel. How much is that thing? Like 13?
The Shrexel?
The Shrexel?
Yeah.
It's like $13 or
It's a
something.
lot. Yeah.
I've said, you can say what you will about Disney. There's plenty of things to critique, but their food pricing is actually not that bad when you look at, say, SeaWorld.
Yep.
I think a lot of people.
SeaWorld's outrageous.
SeaWorld is legitimately outrageous on their food
I
pricing.
literally have not talked to anybody that's been to SeaWorld in the last couple of years that doesn't agree with me.
Yeah. Like the Flaming Moe in Simpsons area is now $5.49. It was $4.49. So
yeah,
a lot of this stuff. I mean,
it happens.
I think too, like, I've heard a lot of so far the food of the Epic Universe from team members, and obviously these are team members, so you got to take it with a grain of salt, I suppose. But
yeah,
I have heard good things about the food, which I do think I've said all along. If they do the food really well, that's going to be something that I think will help them create this into like a really, top tier theme park.
I think Jared and I talked about earlier. We want to eat at that Blue Dragon restaurant.
It sounds good.
It looks so good.
And the Blue Dragon was recently installed in front of the restaurant.
Yes.
That's been something
I
that a
see
lot of
that,
people have
yes.
said. Once the Blue Dragon is there, the park is essentially done.
Oh.
I don't know if that's the case, but that is something that has been thrown out there. Like the Blue Dragon was going to be, it's like, I guess your end point, or like this is a big milestone.
That's the one right in front of Helios, right?
Yeah, so it's at the
Okay.
if you're looking at Helios in the park,
Yeah.
it's on the left side by near the base.
Okay.
That's where
But it's not connected to the hotel.
No, it's not connected.
Okay.
I don't believe it's connected to the hotel.
Okay.
No. It
I just want to
sits
see
near it.
like the ceiling. Remember they talked about like you can see it's like glass ceiling basically, and like you can see.
You're supposed to be able to see like
outside.
stars and stuff.
Stars,
I don't know if
yeah.
it's glass or they're projecting stars on it.
Oh, okay. Well, either way,
I think that's what it was. But
that'd be so cool.
yeah.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. But well, that's all the news that we are going to cover today. We will be back at Universal, not at Epic Universe, unfortunately.
You don't know that.
Well,
We did put in for media or we tried to get media credentials and they said no. Not that I'm bitter.
well,
Honestly, I wasn't expecting to get one. I just literally did it and I was like, whatever. But
we're not a team member either, or family of a team member. So we will wait to go to Epic Universe whenever the previews start for APs. But until then, we will be at Universal Orlando, Florida, and Islands of Adventure. We're staying at Terra Luna, which I get confused sometimes and call it Stella Nova because they're sister resorts. But yeah, we're staying there, and it's very, very similar to Stella Nova.
we are. I'm
So
curious if
that's
there's
exciting.
any differences in the thinness of the walls.
Probably not.
I'm guessing there won't be.
Probably not, but we'll get to see more progress of Epic from there because it's like right next to it, so you can still see it from the hotel.
You can. You very much can. You know who would disagree with you about, you said we don't have any family that works for Universal? I think Vin Diesel would disagree with you.
Family.
He's got family.
Yeah.
And his family is not his actual family.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
We'll also be there for the end of Mardi Gras Festival, and hopefully we'll get to throw the beads again with our kids this time. That'll be fun.
They like to throw things at people.
They do like
As
to throw
children
beads.
do. And I can imagine as a kid, it would be cool. Like, hey, you can take these and throw them at people. Like,
It's
that
true.
sounds like a great time.
That's true. But anyway, so that's what's coming up from us.
And probably what we'll do, like before Epic opens, I think this would be fun, is to do sort of like match this up. Like beforehand, we say, okay, maybe some rope drop strategies, the best ways to navigate that we think, and then how that lines up after we go.
Like make a prediction.
Yeah, or like just
okay.
like if you're like for people that are looking to go who have never, obviously none of us have been yet. Well, very few of us, but here's my guess at the best way to navigate the park based on what we know, and then if that turns out to be true,
Okay.
that could kind of be fun.
Sure.
Or foods we think that will be good, and hopefully they are, and hopefully they're not terrible.
Yes. all those things.
I like making predictions and then seeing if they come true. And if they don't, I'll be like, hey, I was wrong.
Okay. Sounds good. But yeah, that's going to do it for the show today. Don't forget to follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're all Cap the Magic over there. We've got, Jared talked about the shirts. We have got other shows on the network. We've got the Disney show, which we do every Thursday with Jared and I. And we've got Trip Tales, which is once a month. And I'll have a new episode coming out next Monday. We had to do another Universal episode today because of just all the news coming out. And so I'll have that next Monday. And if you'd like to be a guest on a future Trip Tales episode, you can go to ctmtriptales.com, fill out the information at the top. And if your trip is something I'd be interested in hearing more about, I will contact you.
And of course, like I said, we now have memberships available on the channel here. So if you become a member, if you like what we do around here, we're going to be doing some member exclusive things like some live streams, and might even do some live streams from the parks, Terra Luna when we stay there and things like that. So it's a great group to, it's a, a nice perk. And then you can get some exclusive content that way. And just as if you like what we do here, things like that. So somewhere on the screen here, you'll be able to see where it says become a member, and you can do that now.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening or watching. And thank you, Jared, for being here as always with me.
You're very welcome.
And as I always like to say, we will see you in the parks.
Bye.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.